Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hanging Out with Howie. We have a great group on our panel right now. We have someone that you may not have seen before, and on my screen to the right, Travis McGuire. Welcome, Travis.
Hello, hello.
And of course, we have Bill Marsh. Hello, Bill. Welcome.
Hello.
And my new best friend, John Cawley. I won't die for him like Brandon will.
I'm Raven.
Because they're both from Boston, but welcome, everybody. Tonight's topic is actually very topical. I have gotten many private messages the past few days, and one in particular this morning, about performing in the weather. And on the East Coast here, it's raining cats and dogs, a tornado. Brian did an event, and it was raining, and that was the Midwest. So, my gosh, these people are like, what am I going to do? How do I protect my gear? So, sorry, I forgot to turn off.
I thought it was on my end because I'm over here jamming out. And I'm like, am I the only one that hears it? Everyone else is like all solid.
I was writing a message to Jay. I was like, Jay, we can hear your tunes, man.
It's funny.
It's like, is it mine?
No, you guys are just hearing things, honestly.
Me, you, it's you, it's me. It's me,
all right.
it's you.
So, hey, we have my good buddy and road dog, Brian Isred's in the room.
Oh,
Brian.
BSR in the house.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was napping.
And you well deserved. I had just mentioned that, about the, gigging in weather and raining like crazy on the East Coast. Brian did one. It was raining out in his area out there in Milwaukee, and then that long trip to the ceremony area. And I've had several private messages. Hey, I've got events coming up. How do I protect my equipment? So what I am going to do is a quick screen share, and then we will go around and, how do you guys do it? And so this is what I use typically. And this is a pop-up, and trust me when I say this, do not get the Walmart $49 special. The white one here, one person can put that up in 10 minutes. And I do, and I strike in 10 minutes. It goes into a golf bag. And it really looks good when I do block parties because it lights up. So don't get the blue one. Now, I did some research. This guy wanted covers that he could have on his speakers. I guess he didn't have a pop-up. So this is something that I came up with from the internet. You can get them. They're flaps. And the way that they keep the rain out and keep it breathing is with the 600D polyester. So if you wanted to make it yourself, fine. But this is what the industry uses for those small speakers that you see. They're like 8-inch speakers. Then here is this company here. And these guys are out of New York City, and they do big bands like the Rolling Stones. They do NBC morning concert series and so forth. And they came up with a proprietary material that they will make to size for any speaker that you have, and they fit really well, and it's called sound transparent and weather resistant. So I will stop sharing. There is just a few ideas, and so my go-to for my particular events is why would I have my speakers out in the rain? Or even in the heat, because I've had, you get thermal shutdown and so forth like that. So let's hear from you guys. What do you have any ideas? Because we're all learning. I get a lot out of this.
Who's going first?
All right, Bill, you spoke up. I guess you're up first.
I was okay. Well, if I'm first, this idea came several years ago from an old DJ friend who passed away. His name was Jose Castro, and it's real simple. You take an ultimate speaker stand, you take the center part out, at the top that you put the speaker on, and you get a nice, big, wide golf umbrella. The handles on those are very straight, and the grip itself is almost the perfect size to drop right in the hole of the ultimate speaker stand. And as John is about to show us,
there you go.
Voila!
There you go.
You have an instant canopy.
That's cool.
I wouldn't necessarily recommend that in a tornado or a hurricane, but I would certainly use that for shade. I would, and I have. I've used it when a bride insisted on doing their ceremony in drizzle, and it worked just fine to keep my playback system, dry. I wasn't too worried about the speakers. At that time they were just passive EVs. But it did exactly what I needed it to do, like in that picture with shade. It just gave me shade. That's all I really needed. I didn't want stuff getting overheated. I didn't want me getting sunburned. And there you go.
Awesome.
And like that one, you can, as it shows in that picture, you can even put it right over top of a speaker. And the speaker fits underneath, because that's a 6 foot wide umbrella.
Very good.
Voila.
Travis, what have you got for us?
So a lot like yours, I use a 10 by 10, one of those Ozark Trail canopy tents. I think it's like $100 at Walmart, but it's really rugged and durable. I'm kind of blessed in the area that I'm at. I do a lot of outdoor stuff, but I typically have a lot of shade. There's a lot of trees in Kentucky, and most of the venues, they typically try to get the brides to have their ceremony in a shaded area, which is fine and dandy till it's walnut season. Then people start getting bunked in the head. And that's actually the main reason why I got it. It wasn't even so much the concern with the heat or the rain, because most venues have an alternative, at least in this part of the country, when it comes to moving everything indoors. I was more worried about walnuts striking my laptop or my mixer. So I got one of those 10 by 10 canopy tents to keep it protected from the walnuts, the sun, and the drizzle.
Awesome. I never thought about walnuts hitting me on the head or my gear.
We had a wedding last year. One of the guests got hit in the head and they got so mad they left.
Oh my gosh. John, what have you got for us?
For up here, we're very seasonal up in the Northeast. We've only got a couple of months to really play outdoors. I just have a small white 4x4 pop-up. Tends to do the job. A lot of the places that are set up for outdoor here tend to have like this picnic patio area with a pre-built overhang that you can set up underneath, and it's powered. And usually you can escape the elements by being under something like that. So you don't have to do too much.
Gotcha. Well, there was, let's see. Oh, don't have it now. Anyway, we'll go right on to Jay then. Jay, what do you got for us?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jay Brannon.
Are you just happy to be here?
I'm just happy to be here.
That's raised in Southern California.
Yeah. I thought of this when you told me the topic. I thought of this today. I've worked inside of a room with a ceiling and 4 walls twice since November of 2019. So every gig I do is outside. The one thing nobody's mentioned, and granted, as Brian said, I'm in Southern California, so I know when it's going to rain, and it's usually going to rain when nobody wants to be outside. December, January, February, March. So that's not really an issue. My issue is not rain, because it's the first clause in my contract is weather is not my responsibility. Meaning it specifies if I'm in direct sunlight in an area outside, it's the client's responsibility to protect me from the elements, not my responsibility. And I know that might strike some people as like, no, it's your responsibility. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm there with electronics, and it's essential that I'm kept at a certain temperature. So my bigger issue than rain is sun. And I famously had a gig in September of 2020, September, I think 15th, where the temperature where I was reached 115 and 2 laptops stopped working. Fortunately, I have a standalone, so I was able to go to a flash drive, and the unit doesn't generate heat because it's a controller, so it doesn't do anything. So I know where I'm going to be before the gig. And again, I always specify to people, I've seen the venue. If I'm here, I'm okay. So my biggest thing is bringing fans. On the occasional, it might rain. I'll say to a client a week or two out, what's your provision for rain? Oh, well, we've already ordered a tent. Oh, okay, cool. Then I'll be under the tent. Yes. So even though it seems like a topic that's timely with, Hurricane Henri or now Tropical Storm Henri, it really comes down to, I think it's our obligation to our clients to let them know what it is we're doing for them and the equipment we're going to utilize. Therefore, what they're going to have to do with us is kind of a, hand in hand thing about the elements. I mean, I feel bad. I see a lot of YouTube and I see a lot of Facebook posts where DJs are like, yeah, I'm out here in the field and it just started pouring. Well, like you had no clue it could possibly rain that day and you got 10 powered speakers. Like that just seems to me like you're asking for trouble. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Like Travis, by the way, side note, Travis, amazing video.
Thank you.
Yeah, amazing video. Like 300 hours of editing, it looked like. But I never considered getting hit with a walnut. I had a tarantula the other night go over my foot, about that big. And a woman screamed and started freaking. And I said, don't worry, it's not one of the flying ones that are over there. And she literally... And, like literally, I will see more tarantulas and scorpions and rattlesnakes than I'll see rain. That's just how out in the woods I'm not. But, and Brian knows my area, and I think some of you might know the general vicinity. It's really the issue of heat. And it's the one thing that doesn't seem to bother most DJs because they don't deal with outside humidity and heat the way we do, I guess.
Well, that is part of the show, whether, it's the elements. And I've had computers shut down, and that I know that a lot of people have that in their contract. You must provide shelter. And then they're like, okay, they're going to Walmart and getting that blue tarp pop-up thing for $49. And I'm like, for me, it was an investment to get the white one for the pictures, because I didn't want on social media, and it's happened to me one time, they got a blue tarp and they had it, it was tied to the gutter of the house and then the pine tree over here. And then they had this stick that was, holding them. And it just really, like, the pictures were unusable of my setup. But I understand, certain people, will require that and they do that. But for me, I just made that decision. I'm going to buy it and just do it so that, I don't, wind up looking bad in the picture, so to speak. But
I totally get that. And it totally makes sense.
Now, Brian, you had a double whammy. It was raining and it was hot when it wasn't raining. And then you had to go all the way down to that ceremony area. My God, that reminded me of what happened to me years ago.
Yeah, it was a fun weekend, but I'm here to tell the tale. So,
yeah,
I lived through it.
I was like, is he going to end on just "it's a fun weekend" next?
That was such a long day.
I saw the video.
It was a long day.
He's got a YouTube channel, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
I was thinking of Jay the whole time, and I know that Jay's. What do you mean 10 hours? I'm like, that's just how it goes. I mean, it works that way because Jay's like 4 hours and done.
Yeah.
DJ short time. It's very much my reality. I play for.
I go to 5. I need a nap. It's in the contract.
Yeah.
I know you got so many riders, Jay. What the hell?
Yeah, it just goes on forever. But no, it's I mean, we have this phenomenon here, and I don't know if any of you are experiencing this as well, where it's like the barn wedding thing. And what's happening is here anyway, a lot of times it's an inheritance, like it was the family farm. Well, Karen doesn't want to be a farmer. Karen wants to convert the barn into a wedding venue. But Karen has never worked in the service industry. So she doesn't really understand how to run a wedding venue property, but she's doing it and people are buying it. I know that it did cost my client $15,000 to rent the facility last weekend.
And that
she
barn?
did one on Thursday and Friday, and she's been doing. Oh, and no, I'm sorry, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. She's been doing Friday, Saturday, Sundays all summer. So the lady's banking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It looked like about a $3,000 place in the video.
It was actually, I mean, the setup was nice. If you saw the video, there was.
It was nice, but it didn't look like $15,000.
Well, one thing that was to me like kind of the priceless thing was their ceremony area, backup ceremony area, because they were supposed to get married on the pond, like a pond and a trellis, and that was picturesque. But they had this new building that had a concrete floor and a roof. It was almost like a pole barn that they didn't put sides on, and it was new, and that's where they had the ceremony, and the views from that were picturesque.
Yeah.
They were just beautiful. So that alone was impressive. What wasn't impressive was the access to this building, but that's another story. To Jay's point, to Bill's point, and I believe John mentioned this as well, sun is an issue. And that's kind of the scary part for me when I'm most of the time when I'm doing outdoor events, be it a car show or a wedding or whatever. I don't mind open air. I don't mind it as long as there's some shade and the weather's not bad. I do it a lot. But a couple things I will say. I can talk to the most level-headed client about this and say, hey, we need a rain backup. Oh, we have a rain backup plan. So, okay, good. But there's something about brides in particular where, I mean, I'm not knocking anybody's faith, but come on. God's got us this time. It's not going to rain. God might have you, but I don't know if God's got my equipment. And is God willing to put down the $3,000 to cover it if it does get rained on? Because that's what it's going to cost to replace it. It's going to be useless if it gets wet. If I can get past that, I'm good. Me providing shelter, I can't do it. I physically can't do it.
Right.
The other issue, and somebody mentioned this recently, and I'd never even thought about it. Because I had said something about, I don't know, I made a post about it, and someone in the comment section said, I had a pop-up tent and stakes for it. When it gets windy, you put those up. But the venue forbid it because of the underground sprinkler system. They wouldn't let me set it up. And I never thought of that. Like, wow, even if I do provide it, they could potentially say no.
Well,
so maybe,
I run into that with the parks. So what I did for $32 on Amazon was I got 4 sandbags. Yeah. And then I went to the big box store, and they're really nice. They're plastic lined, and they wrap around the poles with the Velcro. And then I was fine with the parks. They were like, okay, you didn't put any holes on the ground. That's great.
I did one last summer, and there's a gig log up, and there's the gig log to prove it. It was incredibly windy, and it was scattered showers. So we were in the pocket of a shower. They insisted on outdoors. The hall provided the tent you're talking about with the sandbags on it. I am so glad Blanca was there, because otherwise, even
was she holding on to a pole?
She was holding on to the poles, because even with the sandbags, it wanted to fly away. It was windy. You can watch the video. The bridesmaids' dresses are like American flags, during some patriotic video. They're just straight out. It's so windy. And the only thing I could think is, Blanca, come on, just 15 more minutes. Thank you. Fortunately, she knew these folks. That's the only reason she was there, is because she knew these folks. And I was also happy about my windscreens and my mic. They did work very well. They did block that, and everything did sound fine. But that's a pain. The sun thing, I got to. Okay, well, before I go into that, blue tarp, just in case. And this is loading in and out of the venue. This is during a civilian gig where you're indoors and it's no big deal, but you still have several feet between the door and your vehicle to load out. A lot of times you have a canopy, and that's a great thing at a hotel and such, but sometimes you don't. So for that, blue tarp, cost you $5, $4, something like that, and some bungee cords just in case you got to fill a cart up with stuff and go. And if you don't have a cart, that's not going to work for you. Get some industrial garbage bags and just throw them under your back seat. You can throw them over speakers. You can throw them over racks. There's not much that we own that won't fit into an industrial garbage bag that has electronics in it.
Exactly.
So, little dumb things like that can save you a lot of frustration on the loadout.
As a matter of fact, I do have those contractor bags behind the seat of my truck.
Yeah.
And I did have to use them one time. And the reason that I used them, what would be the number one, say, that's it, we're done, we're stopping this event? Anybody? What is the number one thing?
John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band.
Oh, you got it, Jay. Lightning. Lightning, I'm sorry, it's done.
Is that an issue?
Outdoors. Yeah.
Outdoors? Oh, yeah. Lightning, sorry, we're shutting down, until it clears or if it clears. Now. Yep. Trash bags. And I'm in the truck because it's a Faraday cage. That happened to me. And I'm like, I'm sorry. No. Lightning, yeah. Hard shutdown if you're outside.
I did a wedding a couple of years ago, right before the pandemic really started. It was in September. And the bride and groom, where they're getting married, they have this beautiful wedding barn, but they really insisted on having an open air reception. It was not forecasted to rain the whole weekend. The ceremony just starts. And it was like someone turned the sun off. And I'm like, what's going on? And during the ceremony, luckily I was only furnishing sound for the officiant. I wasn't doing anything with music. So I was able to kind of walk around the side of the inn, and I get to the side to look out to the west, and it's black. And I don't mean like, oh, okay, there's some rain coming in. I mean, it's black. So the venue made the call to move it into the barn. And I mean, as soon as I got my equipment in, it didn't just rain, it hailed, golf ball size hail, lightning, cloud to ground lightning everywhere. It delayed everything by an hour and a half. So the venue was like, hey, we're going to do like the NFL does. We're going to call it 2 hours before the ceremony. If it looks like it's going to rain, we're just going to move everything inside, regardless of what the bride and groom want, because a ton of their tables and linens some of them we never found because the wind just took them. I was, I was using my rolling booth at the time. I just built the rolling booth, so I was able to get it indoors almost immediately. I was tore down and set up again in like 20 minutes. It's
interesting. There, quite a few of you brought that up, and I've run into that too. It's like the bride is like just so intent on having this dream that she's had. It's going to be outside, and it's like, but it's wait and. No, you got to. And that happened to me one time. I actually put a bag over the speaker, and then for the heat sink on the back, I cut out with my knife and then gaff tape so the speaker wouldn't overheat. Did it sound like great quality? No, but I wasn't going to let my speaker get destroyed because of her dream.
Right. It's a tough spot they put us in.
Yeah, it is.
And I think that maybe I just need to change the verbiage in my conversation before I have it. It's like, look, and literally say, I understand that you want this and you're going to have faith that it's going to work out. Look, I don't know if you really have that much faith it's going to work out. I'm going to need a $3,000 deposit. If I've got that, then I'm going to be with you on this, and it's refundable if something happens. But if my stuff gets wet, that's my $3,000, and it's not refundable.
It's a good idea.
I'm just. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. One thing I was going to mention that no one did is, regardless of your outdoor event, I think one thing is vital, and it kind of goes against everything about the sun. And I'm looking around the room here. If I were going to be doing an outdoor event right now, I would probably get about a C. Let's see. So with John, Bill, Jay, and Howie would get an A+, and Travis would get a big fat F.
What?
And yep. And let me tell you what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what he's going to say.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, Jay.
Yep.
Reflective material in your screen. I wore white one time to a car show, a white T-shirt. I couldn't see my screen because the white T-shirt was reflecting in the screen.
Yeah.
I was blinded by it. So regardless of how hot it is, I will put on a lightweight black like a Nike polo shirt like you wear to golf in, and that I can still see the shirt in the screen, but I can read off a black reflection a lot easier than I can read off a white reflection. So
okay, that's your goal. Good night, folks.
Well, you can also, there's a way, at least on a Mac, and I know in Serato, and I'm sure Virtual does this as well. You can invert the screen so it goes from a black background with white to a white background with black.
I understand that, but you've still got the reflection.
But no. But you're still blinding yourself. No.
Yeah,
it's still going to be difficult to see it.
I didn't think that. That's brilliant, Brian. I mean, because it happened to me. I tried the light mode, tried the dark mode, and I'm like, I have a mirror in front of me, and it's white.
Yeah.
I think if it was consistently white, you could do the inverted and be okay, but it's not, because you also have background things reflecting on you, and you have, your neck reflecting, and sometimes your face, depending on the position of the screen. It's not just your shirt, but if you're having a hard time, and I've done this, I did it this weekend, and I was even under a canopy, the light was on it, and well, I can't read that. So I positioned myself where my reflection on my shirt was over what I was trying to read, and I could see it.
Now, just real quick, because it's on the topic and I'll forget it otherwise. This has happened to a friend of mine who ended up getting paid by the country club, I think to the tune of about $7,000. And again, not knowing where everyone's working, but we're talking outside. One of the things I do at new venues is I contact the venue directly and I specify, I understand I'm doing a ceremony here and then I'm doing the reception here. Are you turning off the sprinklers? And I say that because a lot of venues, like a golf club, you have a ceremony set up over there, and now you go to the reception and it ends at 11. So you're going to go get your ceremony stuff. And all of a sudden at 10 o'clock, you hear, and now your gear is soaking wet.
Yeah.
And it's only funny until it happens.
Yeah.
And it happened to a buddy of mine, and he's like, I brought them, I went back to the club and I said, here are the receipts. You guys owe me this gear. I called ahead. I talked to Heather at this time, and blah, 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 blah. And she guaranteed me the sprinklers were off, and they wrote him a check. They were like, you're 100% correct. They weren't supposed to be on, because when we do an event, we shut them off within the perimeter of the event.
Anyway, yeah.
Wow. But again, it's one of those things that you go to these places, don't worry about the weather you're contending with. Sometimes worry about what you might be contending with once you're in the event and what can happen.
Hoping for them to turn the sprinklers on for $7,000.
Wow. Well, you know what? He
upgrade for that.
Well, he claimed a laptop. Yeah, no, seriously, he was a laptop. He left the controller, and he had quote unquote 3 speakers. I'm like, who uses 3 speakers for ceremony? He goes, that day I did. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, yeah,
I had 4 laptops.
Yeah. He's like bringing everything up into the hill and throwing it in the mud. My van. You owe me an Astro van. Yeah.
Actually, this is better than I thought. This is like some gold here that I didn't think of.
I'm not calling anybody and telling them to turn anything off. That's like hitting, diamonds on the slot machine. I'm just waiting for that to happen.
Oh no! Don't start with slot machines, Mr. Buffalo. Don't even start. Okay, you can just stay quiet over there, Buffalo man. Buffalo. Yeah, I've been to casinos with you.
Yeah, it doesn't always work that way.
Oh, it seems to.
Yeah.
Mr. Saunter up and go, I'll try this one. Buffalo! $5,000 later. Damn it. Yeah, I blew $100 in Atlantic City the first night on Buffaloes. I got nothing. And that was the last gamble I did that trip. I'm like, where's Red? Where the hell's Brian? Get him over here.
No, just keep me with
It's like him and Stevie are like the damn good luck tokens. I swear to God.
Yeah.
You want a photo booth? Go with Brian. He'll win it for you.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to add on the topic?
Are we talking political about the present administration? No, or it's the weather thing.
No,
okay,
no,
go ahead.
I'll throw one more little suggestion as far as the heat goes. And since I think we all agree, almost all of us at least have one of those 10 by 10 easy up type tents or something. Or something similar, or we get them from the venue, which is I do the same thing. I require the venue to provide everything, but when they can't or they won't, then I will, and the client pays. But in the case of my Easy Up tent, there's 2 tricks I do with that, or even without the tent. But I keep a fan on the ground up under my system, blowing upwards to just keep the air circulating, because the ground is where the air is coolest. But if it is a really smoky hot day and I have my Easy Up tent, I keep one of those cheap metal box fans around, and I do what I can to keep it clean. And I bungee cord it to the upper frame, like the rafters frame of my tent, so it becomes a ceiling fan. And
just be careful it doesn't turn into a walnut.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, if necessary, it can chop walnuts as they.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Do you have it? So you just have it blowing cool air down? Because I think a lot of DJs that I talk to are like, "Oh, I put these like ice packs and I put it on a thing of ice," and I'm like, "No, condensation and moisture."
Yeah,
if you can just move the air underneath where the hard drive is,
that's all you need.
I mean, I have a fan that's literally this big that I clip on to my laptop stand just to blow over it.
That's what I do.
Just to keep the air and there is a point where it won't help. Well, and once it breaks about 105, 106, all bets are up. I've got friends in Vegas, and I didn't know this, but I found out most of the DJ booths at the pool parties, they have actual air conditioning units that they've installed that have blowers coming up to the tables. So it's ice cold where the gear is because they're using CDJs. And moisture will screw those. They'll get on the laser, but now, I mean, it's just a flash drive. But they're constantly keeping those temps low. And I know a lot of guys that get the fans. I don't know that that's really as effective as just moving the air. Because once it gets to a certain temperature, there is no turning back.
Well,
hence why,
Yeah, in your case, Jay, with the temperatures you get, it's an investment, and then you have to power it. But Pelter coolers, they're just, they're an electronic heat exchanger, and they're very thin, and they go right under your laptop. They won't cause condensation, but they will cool it. But like I said, it's an investment, but you're the one that chose to live there. So.
Well, and like I said, I mean, this $10 fan, except for the 115, but fortunately, having a backup plan. So even I said, because it was a day that about 3 DJs I know lost laptops, and they're like, dude, this has never happened before. But it was that perfect storm of weather. And I was like, you know what? I'm so glad I went with a standalone controller because it doesn't generate heat. So putting in a flash drive with the ceremony and cocktail music to cover me till 8 o'clock, I'm fine. Because after 8 o'clock, sun's gone down, it's cooled off. I'm okay to get a laptop going.
You've done your 2 hours of DJ and you're done.
I kind of like
at 8 o'clock. I've got to get that half hour of dancing in, Brian, and
25 minutes sometimes.
Somewhere there's a bar that serves water, and I need to get to it.
Well, what Brian did, I think, would be good in a situation like that where we've had those days. I've had a computer shut down. Thank God I didn't lose it. But he was using a tablet with DJ on it. Now, man, if it's that hot, I'm not risking a very expensive laptop. I will wait. I would do what he did and just say, hey, I would rather lose an $80 to $100 tablet than to lose a couple $1,000 worth of computer, until, like you said, it's easy to mix with,
Is it worth investing in a standalone, even if it's a CDJ product from any company that takes a flash drive? Because again, there's no real heat issue there. So is it, is carrying that as the backup? I mean, I think we all have a general idea. I mean, I watch the Weather Channel. I'm fascinated with weather. So I get it. You're in Tennessee last night. You're sitting out by the creek and you're having some moonshine doing your thing. And then you wake up and there's like 10 feet of water. I mean, this stuff does happen, but they at least gave you a heads up. So, if you have a wedding this weekend and that there's a storm, I mean, I called the, DJs in Boston over the weekend. I'm like, hey, storm hurting you? No, it went, it didn't touch us in the East. It went West. So, I mean, I know 10 guys did weddings yesterday, no problems. So
the system you're talking about is tons of fun. I played with it that one time that we had it.
Yeah, no, that would be a great, and even I've argued that I think that system should be in the, $400, $500, $600 range, maybe even lower, just as something DJs could look at as a great option. Backup piece.
A viable option. Yeah. It's a cool piece. I like it. And I enjoy working with it. The tablet was kind of the path of least resistance for me. It checked a lot of boxes. One box that it checked was durability. Yeah, I threw that thing around down here, and I would not throw around a Pioneer mixer, a controller, or anything else Pioneer. I wouldn't throw it around like that. But that Amazon tablet is bulletproof. That was the box that it checked, because things do drop when you're hauling in, especially outdoors. The wind can knock it over.
Oh yeah.
And
I was surprised though when you did that video 2 years ago. He threw it like 5 times and picked it up, and it's still going. I was like, whoa. I
made it fall on its face. I made it fall in its corner. I made it fall as many ways as I could, and I threw it hard. The only thing I did screw up in that video, and I never mentioned it, was I did screw up the internal speaker on the thing. I knocked it loose. So now whenever I play music, it sounds like a blown speaker, unless I have it plugged in, then it's fine.
Right. Which is a happy speaker.
But the thing is, it's only $100 for that Amazon tablet.
You replace it for $100.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I haven't figured out how to hack the new one, but there are people out there who are doing it. I just haven't done it. I have a new one. I haven't hacked it yet. But what do you got? You got a tablet for around $100, $125, whatever it costs. You got a cover for the tablet, which is nice. And then you download once you hack it, to have the Google Play Store in it, which is free, just time consuming. Last I checked, $2.99 for the DJ from Algorithm app.
Right.
And if you're going to have a lot of music on your tablet, which I don't even recommend you do, but if you're going to, get yourself a little micro SD card to pop in it, so you have the storage. I'm to the point now where I only keep the music on it that I need. I don't clutter it with a lot of stuff. So I mean, I initially had like 60 gigs of music on there, and I just found it took a long time to read that.
What about streaming?
We're talking about somewhere that's not Southern California. Internet isn't everywhere. So there's no way I could have streamed anything where I was at this weekend.
Right.
I was nowhere near Milwaukee. I was nowhere near any city. I was in a valley with a lot of hills. So streaming isn't even a viable option right now.
Oh no, it's not for me either. No. I haven't signed up yet because everywhere I go, I'm in a valley, and like I can't get my phone to work. So, but I'm saying it sounds like for $100, you're going down the road of this becomes that viable. Like, hey, when it all else fails, mini to RCA or 1/4 inch into a speaker. Right. And you can save the day when everything else out, fails down.
Yeah, you could do it with your phone anyway. I mean, I've got my phone right here, and I can show you.
Is it an iPhone?
No, it is not. I have
next one will be right.
No. I have it. No, and the reason being is, to my knowledge, they do not have 1/4 inch output jacks on them. Am I correct?
They don't.
Mine does. Correct. Mine has XLR output right here, Brian. See? Yeah, right here on the bottom of it. You see that? Yeah, right there. XLR.
Yours was made back in the 1930s or something like that.
Oh no, I have an iPhone 1.
I have DJ on my phone.
On his phone,
I have an SD card on my phone that has essential tracks on it.
SD card on my phone.
A micro SD card. Me? Yeah. So I have something called memory, which Apple hasn't figured out how to do yet. So I can put a lot of stuff on here. It doesn't.
Look, I have it. I have it too, but mine doesn't show the full turntables. That's the difference.
That's weird. Yeah. If you got to turn it, maybe that's.
Oh. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Now I'm in business.
No, but I mean, I've got all my essential stuff on here. If I had a complete shutdown at an event, whether it's outdoors or indoors, I could possibly get by. No, I can't play every song, but I've got the hot stuff on here. I went through, I think it was last year during the pandemic last summer, and I handpicked all of what I thought were the essential tracks that you have to have at weddings that go beyond what they might have been 10, 20 years ago. Like LMFAO and Uptown Funk and things like that. And I put them in a folder and in the phone. Dumb things like Mr. Brightside. I mean, things that people would reasonably.
God, why does everyone love that friggin' song?
Oh, I don't know, and I hate playing.
I don't either, and I love the Killers. Like I love Somebody Told Me, but I can't stand Mr. Brightside. Go ahead, throw shade and hate my way in the comments. I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
I don't get why everyone freaks out over that song.
The same reason I played If I Had $1 Million by Bare Naked Ladies last weekend. I don't know why.
I did kind of the same thing last year for the pandemic as well. I went on DJ Intelligence and I downloaded the PDF file of all like the top 200 most requested, the top 50 or 100, 50, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. And those are the tracks I put on my backup just in case. I got it on my phone and on my tablet as very last resort. And I mean, you have that music. I mean, even if you're starting out in DJing, that's a solid list to have. You can DJ an entire wedding off of that. If they ask for something obscure, but typically out in my neck of the woods, if they're asking for something obscure and I have an internet connection, I've got to buy it off Amazon anyway.
Well, yeah, you're thinking right. I think that when it comes to this kind of stuff, I mean, and their alternative is, in that case, I mean, hey, we can either not have an event or we can do this event.
Yeah,
I do carry 2 laptops, but between swapping the laptops, at least I do have something. But what if the other laptop goes? I mean, you could go on forever and ever with this. What if I have 5 laptops? What if all 5 laptops failed on me? Well, whatever. I got the phone.
There's a point where it just stops. Even Howie's saying like, well, I bring all this battery stuff. Yeah, that's obviously going to, help and do this and that. But the bigger picture is if the power really goes out, they don't care. Like, yeah, you can save the day and keep the wedding going. But the reality is, if you're in a building with something like, I don't know, an elevator, where you're above the first floor, they may want to just leave. Yeah. It might just be time to go.
You got to bug out.
Yeah. There's a point where we can, we can come through with all this cool stuff. But, it still comes down to, I think the bigger issue is what we talked about before we went on air about being able to react on the mic. God forbid there's a tornado warning. You've got to be able to not freak out and lose your S and get on the mic and calmly tell people, we need to shelter in place. We need to go to the bunker. We need to go to Milwaukee or wherever the hell you guys go when the tornado strike.
Right.
And figure it out. Walnuts are flying and all this and that. I'll be at the pool having a pina colada, but I'm just saying, for you guys, something you may want to consider.
Totally another show, but an hour into my Friday event, there was a heart attack.
Wow.
And they're done that. Yeah.
And
me too.
It had to be handled.
Yep.
And that's another show, but the show went on. And
you played Billy Joel? That's what I did.
No, I'll tell you what I did do. And I
You didn't do the Billy Joel? Moving out? Why not?
Accident. I totally did.
Heart attack. Come on, that's where you go.
No, you go to Bee Gees, Staying Alive.
Oh, hey,
that's the after track, Howie. But you're right there.
Hey, Lewis, Heart of Rock and Roll.
A good one, Jeff.
This is why we wouldn't be good in a panic situation.
No, heart attack by Olivia Newton-John.
I was wondering when he was going to speak on that. Yep, perfect. Yeah, see, this is why he's BSR. He topped all of us.
Tonight by the Eagles.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, now he's back.
His brain works in ways others don't, man.
Now he's back.
Heartbreaker by Pat Benatar.
See, here we are. There he is, right here.
That's him.
But at what point do you play?
My Heart Goes Bang by Dead or Alive, and a lot of songs.
Yeah. See, I would have. If it was the groom, I would have done "Love Is Like Oxygen" just to see if people understood. Like, Sweet is a good band, and maybe you should give this guy some air.
I'm thinking My Heart Goes Bang by Dead or Alive would be the funniest one. No.
Yeah. Sadly, the best one would be Celine Dion, Titanic. My heart will go on, and then just don't point at the guy or girl.
My heart will be fine.
All right, guys.
Your heart, on the other hand,
so no Heartbreaker, Pat Benatar, though.
Oh, he did. Oh, he threw that out there.
All right. Hey, before we put a fork in this, I got to give out 2 shout outs here. Troy Putzman from Slate Belt, Pennsylvania, was the one that initiated this through Messenger with me for the topic for tonight. And I want to give a shout out to Joey Blue. He was going to be a surprise guest here tonight.
What?
Today is his birthday. He said, "Hey, dude, can I chill tonight?" And I said, "Absolutely."
Oh, 100%.
He messaged me and said he's not doing well, feeling well, and he's going to bed. But he said that maybe he'd stop in on your show tomorrow night.
Oh, he is so well. I'll tell you what. You want to see me shut up? Bring Joey on our show and watch me not talk.
You'll have
I took the initiative and told him that he was always welcome on your show.
Always welcome. Joey Blue is somebody everyone should have the honor, as Brian and I do, to know. Mm-hmm. And I swear to you, he shows up, watch me not talk.
Joey's great because whenever he comes on the broadcast, he goes into full New Yorker, hey, I'm walking mode.
I've got right here.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's pretty funny.
All right. Yeah. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.